Hello, Sergeant. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's virtual recruiting session, Women in Policing, Discover Your Journey. I'm Sergeant Marco Jardim from the Waterloo Regional Police Service, Uniform Recruiting. So for everyone, welcome. This is our third session of the year. The first one that we named it Meet the Recruiters Information Night, approximately 3 months ago. But a month ago, we had Effective Habits of a Successful Applicant, and this is the third one of our trilogy. Please, for more information, go to the Waterloo Regional Police Service YouTube channel. You'll find those previous virtual recruiting sessions full of information. I hope you do enjoy it and that it's informative. So tonight, we have two special guests, colleagues and great friends of mine, Sergeant Linda Chamberlain and Staff Sergeant Tanya Klingenberg. Welcome to you both. So in tonight's session, it's going to be broken into two parts. The first part, we will discover their journey into policing. So for anyone that's curious of Sergeant Chamberlain's and Staff Sergeant Klingenberg's journey, please start typing your questions away. And after they tell us a little bit of their bio, we can go into a Q&A with them. The second part, we'll have Constable Ben Michaels and Constable Pasna Sharma, the two familiar faces for many of you that are watching this, and we will be answering any questions that you may have regarding our process. So once again, thank you for all the viewers. Welcome. Sergeant Chamberlain, please tell our viewers your journey.
Good evening, Marco, and good evening, everyone who's watching. It is certainly an honor for me to come here and share with you guys my experience and my journey throughout Waterloo Regional Police. I've had the privilege of being a police officer for 15 years, and my journey actually began when I didn't know what direction my professional path would take. So it's interesting how it started when I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so many years ago, I might date myself here, but a lot of years ago, back in high school when they were asking us, what do you want to do with your life? And I didn't have an answer. I knew what I didn't want, and I started from there. And I said, what is it that I want for my career path? What do I want that will bring me fulfillment throughout my life? And I thought, okay, what do I want? I want to work outside. I want to work with people. I want to have an impact on the community and on people around me. And I wanted every day to be a different adventure. And so I actually completed an aptitude test, and lo and behold, there was police officer on one of the results. So I looked into that, and I looked into it further, and it actually sort of spawned me applying to colleges for police foundations to explore this career even more. And so I applied to many colleges. I ended up going to Conestoga College for police foundations. And I found that to be very beneficial in learning a lot about policing and deciding, is this something that I want to do? I was very interested in it. I really enjoyed the program, and it sort of solidified my views on where I wanted to go with my careers. So after that, right out of college, I took a little bit of time to get some of my certifications that we needed at the time. And then I applied to several police services, but what I really wanted was Waterloo Region. I grew up here. This is my home. And I grew up in Cambridge, wonderful city of Cambridge. And it was a dream of mine to be a police officer here in my own community, where I felt like I could give a lot back, having received so much from it. After applying, I went through the process and got a phone call that I was to sign an offer of employment. And then, then 15 years later, here we are. So that's my journey prior to policing, getting sort of into the hiring process, and made me want to become a police officer. And all the things that I wanted, working outside, working with people, having an impact, and every day being new experiences, I did have received that from this job.
And fun fact, Linda and I actually, we were hired on the same date 15 years ago, and here we are. So Linda, thank you for that. I'm going to go into a little bit with Staff Sergeant Klingenberg, and we'll come back to you, Linda, to for you to talk about your journey once you became a police officer and all the fun positions that you were part of and your work. But Tanya, welcome. Tell us about your journey into policing.
Yeah. No, first of all, thank you, Marco, for giving me the opportunity to speak about my journey. It's like Linda, it's an honor and a privilege to be speaking. I think for myself, but also on behalf of other female colleagues as well. My journey into policing started at a young age. Early on, I had participated in a career day, and this is going back to public school, and we had a female officer that came into our class and was just telling us about her story. And at that point, I really thought, wow, that sounds amazing. I thought she just presented really, really well, and thought that would be just a great career. So that became a goal of mine. I was focused on that through high school, apart from a couple of other things that were on my mind about other career opportunities. But at the end of the day, I decided to pursue a career in policing. Definitely had, I guess, some setbacks, I guess you could put it that way, as far as just some struggles, as far as some concerns that I had about, am I big enough, as a smaller female officer, just some of those concerns as well. But I found it really, really important to find a couple of positive role models that helped me focus and keep my priorities, I guess, in check as far as accomplishing that goal. So fresh out of high school, I applied to, I went to a Loyalist College in Belleville. I decided to go there partly because they had a co-op placement. I was given the opportunity to have a co-op placement with two other police services, OPP, as well as Belleville City. Fortunately for me, and the timing worked out well. The Belleville City was applying at the time when I was graduating. So I applied to Belleville and was hired there, and worked there for approximately 1 year. And I ended up meeting my husband on the job, who we met at police college. He worked for Waterloo Regional Police. I grew up in Woodstock, which was only about half an hour away. And then I also had some aspirations of working for a larger police service to I had some other, some bigger ideas about what I wanted to do in my policing career, and was looking for other opportunities with a larger police service. So anyways, I applied to Waterloo, unsure how that was going to go. However, fortunately, with some hard work and going through that process, I was successful in applying, and have not looked back. I've had some incredible opportunities. It has not always gone without questions or some struggles, but I've always maintained a support group of family and friends that have helped me through that process, and got me to where I want to be.
Thank you, Jenny. And you're saying that one of your challenges was people believing that because you were a smaller structure, couldn't become a police officer. How did you deal with that at the time?
Yeah, so I made sure for me that I maintained the confidence that I could fulfill the physical requirements to become a police officer by staying fit. I explored different things as far as even karate, right, just to kind of give me that confidence as well when I applied. But I would say overall it was for me maintain a higher level of physical fitness. And again, surrounding myself around people that had those same goals as well, and just kind of the positive talk and positive people that you have, when that self-doubt kind of crept in, right? You had those people as well that would say to like you can do this, and it does require some training and focusing on your goals, but it was definitely attainable.
And Linda, you were fairly young as well when you got hired. Did you experience the same challenges?
Well, before I put through an application, I understood that there were fitness requirements, and that I've always been had a love of fitness and love of sports, but I knew that this was the time to really start to focus my goals and start to focus my training. And so I did do that. And I also focused on academic side as well as fitness side. And I thought, like everything else, like every test and like everything that we do in life, we have to practice, we have to study, we have to work hard, and nothing comes for free. And everything that is worth having comes from working, putting the time into it and the effort, and then you'll see the results at the end of that. And applying for policing was no different for me, and I took that view with this as well. So a lot of training, running on my spare time, push-ups, trying to do the fitness testing on my own several times before I ever even went to apply.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. And I encourage all the viewers to continue sending those messages. I do see some that are coming through. I know we are always, and we're looking forward to finding out once you become a police officer and the amazing roles that both these women have experienced. But I am seeing some good questions relating to kind of pre-hire process. So before I make sure that I answer these, one for Sergeant Chamberlain specifically, based on your hiring process from 15 years ago, what are the difference you would say to women now who are applying?
I would say that you need to follow your dreams, follow your goals. There isn't a significant difference, in my opinion, but I'm not in the recruiting process. That would be something that I would have to forward to the recruiters at the end of this session here. But I love that to be a female role model. I think that's a huge honor, but I think you need to think of it as an applicant. And if you are a good applicant and you have prepared for your process and you have, this is a dream of yours, go for it. Any female out there, male, female, anybody who wants to apply for this job, you think this is something that you want to do, speak to our recruiters. Look into the process of how to get hired. Look into the applications and the qualifications that are needed to come in. There are some changes that have obviously come up through some differences, right? We used to have ATS training, and we don't need to have that anymore, testing. And that was just a series of tests that we had to go through before even having your application come through. And I understand that that's been changed. But the physical fitness requirements are fairly the same, as well as there's an interview, and you have to pass basic testing as well for some knowledge. So I think the better you prepare, you set yourself apart from other applicants. And if you can think that this is a competition, right? And if you set yourself apart by really trying your best and working hard and putting forward that work before, it's going to show ahead of time. It's going to show at the time when you come through for your application.
Thanks, Linda. And Tanya, I know you're really into fitness and have always been. What's your advice to a woman who's thinking of applying and may think that or have some concerns regarding their physical abilities, and how can they improve?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to stay connected to some type of physical fitness training, whether that be, reaching out to a personal trainer. YouTube has a tremendous amount of free fitness training programs as well, and just some Google searches as well. My experience has been like I've tried, a variety of fitness classes, right? And even specific training in jiu-jitsu or boxing as well, CrossFit. And really just kind of thinking about how can you make sure that you have that edge and as far as the physical fitness ability goes. But I would say definitely trying to connect to some sort of running program and having a specific program set out for yourself, because as we all know, just as humans, it's really easy to kind of get to lead us stray from having a fitness regime, right? Just day-to-day life happens. And if you don't have a schedule in place, it's really, really easy to, the fitness is usually the first thing that falls off, right? Or you're like, oh, I'll just start back next week. So I'd really like to, I guess, reinforce the idea of just making sure you have a training plan in place, and making sure that your family or partner, whoever it is, are supportive of that as well. And it may not necessarily be something that you truly enjoy at the time, but it definitely it pays off. I came from not necessarily being an avid runner, but once you actually start that program and you have some successes, that's just kind of that pushes you to continue on.
Thanks, Tanya. And thank you to all the viewers continuing your questions. We will go soon to listen to the experiences since getting hired, but I have a great question here, and I think it's relevant to both of you, Linda and Tanya. A question from Jonathan Marsh. Do any of you have children? I have a 13-year-old, and I'm planning on expanding my family with my soon-to-be wife. Currently, as a high school teacher, I have the golden schedule, but I'm beginning the application process. What is the experience of a new constable with a young family? Linda, do you want to answer that? And then we'll go to you, Tanya.
Sure.
Yes, I can. I do have a family. Like Tanya, actually, it's kind of similar here. I did meet my husband on the job as well, and we have 2 wonderful children. But again, I got hired pretty young, so I was single with no kids at the time. So I had my children while being on this job. There are challenges to shift work and raising a family. There are challenges to raising a family. That's across the board, right? That's everybody. But shift work does provide a unique challenge in terms of childcare, and even attending their soccer and sports, and being there for them at times when other families are there for the kids. I will say that I've had a definitely the privilege of having family close by. My family helps out a lot. I had actually as well for childcare a live-in nanny for a period of time. She was a wonderful help to us because my husband and I both work shift work. At this time, we are lucky to have family help us, and my children have grown and now are old enough at this time to need less and less as we go through. But I find that even if I'm not there at the same times that maybe some other families are together, the time I have with my kids is quality time. I cherish the moments with them, and I think from what they tell me, my kids are proud of me. They're proud to have a mother they look up to, and they tell me that all the time. And they're proud to tell their friends about what their parents do, and to me that means a lot. And every family has unique challenges. Every family has something that they have to work through and that they have to overcome. And shift work is one of the things that not just police officers, but many different careers have the challenge of as well. And it is doable, and it is something that I was concerned about too. I knew I wanted a family. And when I came to this job, I thought, well, how will I deal with all of that? But you do. And it's definitely doable.
And Linda, how was your experience? You were on the job when you had your kids, in terms of mat leave and the support from the service, your time off, and then coming back. Can you tell me any challenges or any support that you received in those terms?
Sure. So I took the full year for both of my children. To be home with them was wonderful. We have a great program here where we're able to buy back the year with our pensions. So I was able to not lose any time toward my tenure and seniority within the job. What's nice is that now, obviously, when you're pregnant, you can't do the same job that you could when you weren't pregnant for obvious reasons. There's risks and that sort of thing. The service accommodates pregnant women to be where they can use their skills and still feel useful, and that they're still doing a job. They're still being a police officer, but not in a position where they don't have to put themselves at risk. So I was able to do that twice, and took the year off. When I came back, yeah, just like any job, after a year, you're going to learn again. It's like riding a bike. You get right back on, and you're able to go. The service supported me by, anything I needed. Did I need to have, someone to ride with again for a couple of days just to get back into the swing of things? And then it was just right along the way as I went. That I really liked how I was able to take the full year with my children and have the ability and the freedom to do that.
Thanks, Linda. And a shout out to two officers that helped our recruiting branch in the last year, Constable Nicole Krigner and Constable Leanne Schultz. They're helping us in their pre-mat, and they're involved on a daily basis, helping everyone that's interested in this great career with providing advice, conducting interviews, all the paperwork, and a friendly face and positive atmosphere we have in human resources. So for them, thank you very much. And to you, Tanya, how about your experience?
Yeah, so I have two children. I have a 5-year-old, and then I also have a 17-year-old. So big age gap. I had my daughter. I was assigned to our drug branch at the time. I was a drug investigator. For me, it was a great opportunity in that when I was pregnant, I maintained my position in the drug branch. I was still able to do fantastic, interesting jobs, and I did a lot of warrant preparation, that sort of thing. Even though it didn't necessarily mean that I was able to, quote, go on the road, I was still given lots of tasks as well. And I would say with my husband also being on the job, and I mean, we had some discussions about, what does this look like for our childcare situation? We did not, unfortunately, have family around to help us with childcare. And we relied heavily on a type of nanny situation, but also friends as well, right? We quickly accepted that what we need to draw on some friends, and when they're offering support, that we did that as well. And even just kind of developing relationships with other coworkers as well, right, where you could help each other out. We were always able to manage with our schedules. There were times that were a little bit trying in that, if it was a holiday and we were both working, sometimes it meant that grandma came down for the weekend, or aunt or uncle came into the mix on that as well. So it really did not affect any opportunities. And like Linda said, I maintained my seniority. It didn't affect anything like that. And it's nice with our service as well, as we get a top-up pay as well. So for the majority of my maternity leave, I took the year off as well for both of them. I did not have a significant pay decrease. And then when we decided to have our son about 5 years ago, at that time, I was going through the promotional process to sergeant, and right around the same time that I found out I was promoted, I also found out that I was pregnant with our son, which was very exciting news. And at the same time, I was given an incredible opportunity to go to our intelligence branch and have a portfolio in the intelligence branch for gangs and hate crimes. So it was very interesting. I learned a lot, and I was very appreciative of that opportunity as well. So definitely, there was no concerns about any negative impact on any setbacks like that with my career. And childcare has always been a consideration, but we've always made it work. We use before and after school programs. Now that our daughter is, a little older, she helps out as well, right? And we've always been able to make the schedule work for us.
Thanks. And like to say, it takes a village to raise a child. So we are very dependent on our families and friends, and sometimes colleagues. So for all of them that are with us in this journey in policing, I want to thank them as well. So Tanya, once you got hired, tell us about that journey.
Okay, so I've been on for about 24 years. I started in Waterloo, the old 14 Herb Street West division. I was there for approximately 4 years. Loved patrol. Kind of developed a strong interest in criminal investigations. I think partly because I was quite young when I was hired and I had a baby face. I was given an opportunity to go into some undercover operations at that time. So I went into our drug unit with about 5 years of after patrol, worked in drug investigations, and then did that for a couple of years. And then once I had our daughter, like I mentioned earlier, I had found I was pregnant with my daughter when I was in the drug unit. Um, I decided that I no longer wanted to explore the undercover operations at that point and pursued a career into criminal investigation. So I was pursued and was given an opportunity to work in our general investigations branch. Worked in there for approximately 3 years. Had some opportunities while I was assigned there to work some homicide cases. And then from there, I was given another opportunity to work in our fraud branch, doing obviously some major fraud investigations. And then in 2009, there was an opportunity for me to go permanently into our homicide branch, which was really something that I was passionate about, and pursued that opportunity. And I went into our homicide branch for just over 6 years as an investigator. And from there, I pursued opportunities for the sergeant process and was successful in the sergeant process. Was promoted. And like I said, right at the same time, I found that I was also pregnant with our little guy, and was given an opportunity from there to work in our intelligence branch for a short period of time until obviously I started my maternity leave. And then after that, I was assigned. I came back and went to patrol, which was just an awesome opportunity again to kind of get re-energized and do the job that I signed up to do essentially, but just really given an opportunity now to kind of mentor and coach and be around just some really awesome, energetic people. And then from there, I was given an opportunity to work in our professional standards branch, which most people may not understand what that is, but it has to do with the public complaints and internal investigations. I would say it's not generally something that you plan to do when you sign up to become a police officer. However, I learned it was very, very invaluable, and I learned a ton in that position. And then from there, I pursued an opportunity for staff sergeant promotion, and then was in January this year promoted to staff sergeant. And now I have the awesome experience of supervising a platoon out of North Division. Kind of for me, it's like going home. Shout out to Alpha Platoon at North. They are just fantastic people and just good people. Obviously always wanting to do the right thing, and so that's been really for me kind of what I've discovered has probably been my long-term goal in policing anyways, is now to kind of get back to my roots as to why I wanted to do policing, and now to give back to that team, right? And kind of understand that it's my opportunity to teach them things that I've learned throughout my job and help them along and support them in my experiences, both personally and professionally. And it's really, really been an awesome opportunity, and it may sound a little bit cheesy, but an honor to be part of the team.
Would you say, Tanya, that patrol is really where your heart is?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I had always dreamed about when I was a little girl, becoming a police officer, right? And now I get to do this role and work with the profession and really just kind of see all the good work that gets done every day is just amazing.
Awesome. And North Division Platoon A, I think your second best, number one, was when Tanya and I worked together with Professional Standards. So, so
course,
Linda,
yes.
how about your journey since you become a police officer?
Okay, so when I started, I actually started in Kitchener at Central Division, and I walked the beat there in downtown Kitchener. And from there, I ended up getting a cruiser and did that for a while. And then I got pregnant. And afterwards, having my maternity leave, I ended up coming back to Cambridge, which again was a goal of mine because I grew up in Cambridge and I had close ties to that community. So I was able to go to Cambridge, and from there I started to really grow my love of policing, and it's sort of I was able to flourish with my investigations, and I decided I wanted to become a coach officer. So I was able to do that, and that's where we're able to take recruits that are just finished their Ontario Police College. So they've been hired and they've finished their college, and now they get placed with an experienced officer for their first several months to learn how to do the job. And I found a lot of reward from that, a lot of ability to be able to take what I've learned and give that to somebody else and give them a positive start to this job. So a lot of rewarding experiences from that. I then moved on to becoming an acting supervisor on my platoon, which was a new experience for me because I was able to see it from another perspective and be able to supervise the road, which again was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. After approximately 9 years, 10 years, I decided that I wanted to further my career and go into investigations. So I did that for a period of time. I went to general investigations where I worked as a detective, and I worked in Central Division, and I worked in North Division as well in detectives. And there I was able to take complex investigations, complex calls, major calls for service. So, your aggravated assaults, anything that was major in that, arsons, things that were more than what a patrol officer would be expected to handle. And from there, I was really able to dig into that investigative side, and helped me become more than a patrol officer, and invaluable experiences that I learned there. Afterward, an opportunity came up where I was able to go to our training and education branch, and I became a use of force instructor there. So in the training and education branch, I taught firearms training, use of force, defensive tactics, and judgment, and de-escalation skills. So this was one of my career goals, and I was really excited to be on that journey, which was a very different aspect. And one of the wonderful things about becoming a police officer is the varied experiences that you get to have while in this employment. I don't just put a uniform on and go in a cruiser and take calls. I did that, loved it, fantastic. But now I'm able to grow and do other things as well, and try different things in my career. Being a use of force instructor was a great experience. From that, I decided I wanted to become a supervisor permanently and went through the promotional process. I was successful, and I was recently promoted to sergeant, where now I'm also in North Division with Tanya on a different platoon, with a group of wonderful, wonderful frontline officers that are really hardworking, and I'm very proud of them to see the work they do.
And thank you, Linda, and congratulations on your promotion. Well deserved. We're lucky to have you, that's for sure. So for all our viewers, we're almost coming to the end with Staff Sergeant Klingenberg and Sergeant Chamberlain. I'll give it another couple of minutes before we bring in our recruiters, Upasna Sharma and Ben Michaels, to answer any questions regarding application process, and all the different stages that we have. For now, I do have another question here before we turn into the other officers within the next 2 minutes or so. This is from Heidi Dakin. Along your journeys, what would you say were the biggest challenges that you faced? So I'll go with you, Tanya, and then I'll ask you, Linda. Along your journey, what would you say were the biggest challenges you faced?
I think the biggest challenge for me is, and it's ongoing, and quite honestly, is just the balance of work life and personal life. And it's just maybe because of how I'm programmed that I like things a particular way with operating a certain way at work, and I feel better when I'm always ahead of the game. So a lot of the times that's meant that I'm doing things on off hours as well, just so I can make sure that I'm staying up on emails and replying quickly, just to make sure that I stay ahead of things. And that's been, yeah, I say that's probably been an ongoing challenge, just kind of keeping that in check, right? Fortunately, I have a very supportive spouse that helps me with that as well, and my reminder every day about my kids that need my time as well. And I would say it's really just for me taking that step back and making sure that I plan that time. If I have to commit time to work, even for 15 minutes or over that day, that I'm also planning time with my children, or whatever it is that needs to be done at home as well, and just taking that break as well. And I think that again kind of speaks to our discussion earlier about the importance of staying fit, right? Because I think it's kind of the outlet for me is staying fit is also my stress relief as well. And I would say to anybody, I would focus on, make sure you have something in your life like that for that stress relief.
And Linda?
Okay, I would definitely say I've had more successes than challenges, and more reward than challenge. But my biggest challenge is that I am a little bit of a perfectionist. So for me, having the
And I think we lost Linda.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to you, Tanya.
professional.
So
Okay,
when it says, is Linda still there?
I'm
Yeah.
here.
There
Can you hear
you
me?
are, Linda.
There I
can
am.
loud and clear. It usually is loud and clear, so I'll let you continue.
Okay. Yes, I would say, for me, I want to put the most professional face forward. I always want to be the best officer I can be, the best mother I can be, the best wife, the best daughter, the best sister. And then sometimes I have to say, well, hang on, sometimes that's probably my biggest challenge, is to relax a little bit with it, enjoy the journey, and to recognize that I can't be perfect all the time. And sometimes my kids remind me of that too.
Yeah, and like in talking about children, both you being mothers, so there's different age rate range between both of your children. But what do you tell your children about when they worry about you being a police officer, when they worry about you going to a night shift, when they worry about certain things they hear? How do you comfort a child and make them feel safe? Linda?
I tell them that safety is my biggest priority, that the most important thing to me in my whole life is my family and my kids. And first and foremost, I am a mom, and I would do nothing to compromise that. That I have been training other people as well as I have been well trained. We're a team here at the police service, and I think of my platoon as my second family. And so there, we back each other up. The best tool and the most important tool that we have is our ability to communicate with others. And the amount of time that I've actually been in a use of force situation is very few. Most of the time, we have really positive, wonderful interactions with the community, where there isn't any real risk for me. And my most important goal is for myself and my team to go home at the end of the day and to be with our families.
Thank you, Linda. And Tanya?
Yeah, I think Linda said it really well. Yeah, and I guess probably just to echo or essentially kind of repeat what Linda had said there. But I think in addition, it's just kind of keeping in mind the age of your children. And I mean, my conversation with my 5-year-old is obviously different from the conversation I have with my 17-year-old. My 17-year-old, I don't. She doesn't ask it anymore. I think she kind of understands that, mom comes home and dad comes home as well, right? And it's just been kind of that, even with our 5-year-old, right? That I go home at the end of every shift, and that's the goal. But also keeping in mind that, I mean, even for myself, I've never had a situation that I have not been able to handle, and also keeping in mind that, like Linda said, we work as a team, right? Most high priority calls you're not going to be going to on your own, right? And then any situation that is potentially a use of force incident, you're not you're going to be going with somebody else. But I think it's just that conversation and just kind of that comfort with them that we have the training and the skills really, and our focus is the de-escalation and the importance of all of the training that's in place to make sure that we go home and everybody is safe at the end of the day, right? And that's our primary focus. Just kind of keeping it in simple terms, especially for my 5-year-old, right? That I kind of compare it to superheroes sometimes, right, for him, because he loves superheroes, and just say that we all work together. We're like the superhero team, right? So he understands that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And finally, I'll ask you two before you go, what's one piece of advice that you can provide any women thinking of joining this journey into policing? Linda?
I would say to erase your self-doubt. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you can do this, and work hard. But every time that little voice of self-doubt pops back up again, I want you to push it down. I want you to get rid of it because you can do this, and you are capable. Put hard work into it, and we'll see you in the hiring process for sure.
Thank you. And Tanya?
Yeah, I would say very simply, be confident. If this is something that you want, it does require work. That goes, you can't prevent that, but be confident in your ability and your skills, and make sure that you have that support team or that support your friends or your family around you that can push you along, right? If you start to, kind of shy away from doing what you need to do to reach those goals, have somebody else there to kind of keep you in check. But I think just be confident in yourself. And like Linda said, when that self-doubt creeps in, just have something in place there. Check in with somebody, say, I got this. It's going to be some work, but just know what your goals are and know what you need to do, and have those pieces in place, have those supports in place, so that you can have that success.
And thank you. And just before we finish, we got a couple of shout outs that I want to read. Callie DeJong, thank you so much. Katrina Vanderweel, thank you. Also from Brittany Ann saying, thank you both for taking the time tonight to talk about your experiences, challenges, and growth. You both inspire me. On behalf of myself, the recruiting team, our service, thank you both, Staff Sergeant Klingenberg and Sergeant Chamberlain. You inspire us. So thank you. And now to all our viewers, we will have now our recruiting superstars, Constable Upasna Sharma. Hi, Upasna. Welcome.
Hello everyone.
And Constable Benjamin Michaels.
Hello,
welcome,
everybody.
Ben. For many of your viewers that have seen our previous virtual recruiting sessions on WRPS, Waterloo Regional Police Service YouTube page, Meet the Recruiters Information Night, and Effective Habits of Successful Applicants. Please, if you have watched it, watch it again. If you haven't, I encourage you to watch it. It has great information, great advice, and fun times during those sessions. So please, so now we're going to go ask pretty much questions related to process. And I'll start with a question to Ben. This says, how does the Waterloo Police Service look at applicants from out of town when it comes to hiring or considering hiring?
That's a great question. We could actually get that question asked a lot. In the end, we're looking for who the person is
wherever you've grown up, wherever you've decided to call home, that has almost no bearing on us hiring you. In the end, we're looking at you, what you bring to the table, your experiences, education, understanding of what the policing role is, as well as understanding that we like to have officers live in the area once you're hired. It's great to live in the place that you police. That's what I have done throughout my career. I live within the region, and I'm proud to do so, knowing that I go in, work hard every day to help the people, my neighbors, my friends, my family, and people who are part of my life or part of my city that I live in. So in the end, if you're looking to apply, please do not assume that you have to live within the region to apply. You can apply from anywhere you see fit to come here. In the end, living in the region has been a wonderful experience for me and for my family. It's so nice to know that I'm going out there to do my best day in and day out, knowing that I'm doing what I can for my family as well as for the service. So feel free to apply from no matter wherever you live from. Thank you very much. I turn you back over to Sergeant Jardine.
Thanks, Ben. Upasna, how do you prepare to make sure you're mentally fit enough for this job? Coming from a challenging background, how important is it to prove that you have overcome these challenges?
Thank you very much for the question, Sarge. And that's a very unique question, and I'm glad actually this question has been asked. People come from different backgrounds, and no matter where you come from, what are your background experiences are, either it was challenging or not challenging, in order to be, bring your mental wellness, bring your best A game for this job. I don't think it's any different than any other job. So I'm gonna actually chime back to what we talked about throughout in the last half an hour, 45 minutes about physical fitness. It has worked for me. Where I come from, I'm of course you can figure that out from my accent. I'm not born here. I'm born in India. So in answer to the question, I wouldn't say I didn't have a challenging background, but of course, learning the language, learning lifestyle in another country where there was no family when we moved here. The one of the key things that I figured out worked for me was the physical fitness part. It's a great stress reliever, and it gives you, if you join a gym or something, it actually gives you the opportunity to make friends out of your comfort zone, and growing that family outside of the family, and just developing as your personality, your characteristics, that gives you that tool to be mentally fit and physically fit also. So for me, the one and the major best thing was the physical fitness.
And Upasna, you yourself have an interesting journey into policing, immigrating from India to Canada. Can you touch base, tell a little bit of your journey in preparing into this profession?
Absolutely. I'm glad to share that. Actually, a lot of my, I would say, journey will be similar to Linda and Sergeant Linda and Staff Klingenberg. And I do relate to Staff Klingenberg's comment about being a smaller person. I am a smaller person. So about 19 years ago, I was close to 20 now, I immigrated to Canada with my family at the time. And I did not know anything about policing. Just give you a little bit of idea, I did want to be a police officer, not a police officer, but something in the law enforcement back home. But my dreams were crushed when I grew up. That was as a child. Then I didn't grow tall enough. They have certain different requirements in India. So I immigrated here. I did not know anything. I didn't even look into it. A few years ago, I would say about 11 to 12 years ago, I met a police officer at a social gathering, and the conversation led. And I was looking for a change at the time. As the sergeant, you heard from Sergeant Chamberlain that she figured out that office job was not for her. I also had figured out at the time that I need something more exciting, something more challenging, and something not confined to a cubicle. So through the conversation, I found out that to find a job or to get into policing here, there is no height requirement. As long as you go through the process and you're successful throughout the process, you are as competitive as anyone else. So the one thing I had to look at the time, I was already into my fitness journey, but I did not know anything about the prep test. So I connected with the Conestoga College, and I actually did try prep test over there just to know what it was. To give you guys an idea, at the time, the prep test has there was a couple of components. It's an obstacle course. It has I heard that there was a wall that you had to jump over. And being a smaller person, I was already nervous about it, that how I'm going to do it. In your normal life, you don't jump walls throughout your neighborhood. So I did that. I did a lot of, worked out on my fitness more aggressively. And I had a chat with my husband at the time. Well, my husband still is the same husband. That how we're gonna, if it's a shift work. I've never done shift work before. I've never done a night shift before. But just hearing about it, even being prepping up for that journey, prepping up to be an applicant, go through the process. It was very exciting at the time, and I still remember all those months that I used to go out for a run and trained with a personal trainer to make myself competitive, to go through the fitness, the prep test. So with the support of my husband with my 1-year-old, about 6-year-old son and about 1.5-year-old daughter, I put my application. I didn't apply anywhere else. I also live in the region, and I didn't want to go anywhere else. When we talk about I want to serve and protect my community is Waterloo region. So I didn't want to go anywhere else. So I applied here, and I was lucky to be successful throughout the process. And it's been about 10 years. The journey has been really, really rewarding. I'm right here in front of you talking to all of you.
Thanks, Upasana. It's my privilege to work alongside you as well. So, Constable Benjamin Michaels, a question for you regarding volunteer. So, the viewer asks, how much volunteer experience is required, or what type are you looking before applying?
That's a great question. When it comes to volunteering, the reason why we ask you that question is we're trying to determine how much you're looking to give back to the community or give back to people in need. It shows your type of personality. It shows that you have an effect where you want to support and help other people to the best of your ability. Now, that being said, you want to make yourself the best applicant that you can be. You want to make sure that you have enough volunteering where you feel comfortable knowing that this is a competition, and we are looking to hire, obviously, the people who have the most volunteering experience, the most education, the most work life experience. You have to make that decision of when you say, you know what, I think I have enough to move forward. Now, that being said, volunteering can be literally anything in what you're supporting another person. We have a lot of people coming in who volunteer at their place of worship. We have people coming in looking at major organizations, such as like the food bank, to go and support other people in need. In the end, it's self-reflection and decision-making that you're ready now to move into the application process. And I always urge everybody is do the most that you can to show your best self, so that when you come into the application through the process, you'll be more likely to continue on. If you feel that you're not ready or you don't have enough, then I would hold off until you've achieved enough life experience and or volunteering, and then make that application. Thank you very much. I take you back to Sergeant Jardine.
Thank you, Ben. And a question for you, Pasna. This question is from a viewer, Muhammad Ali. How long does the recruitment process take? I am planning to apply in December 2021 and graduating from university in April 2022. Should I apply before December, or is that a good time? Something like that. Yeah, Pasna?
Thank you, Serge, and thank you, Mohammed, for your question. That's a commonly asked question. There is unfortunately, there's no set time for any applicant process to go through. When you apply, your application is active for 1 year, 12 months in our system, and it can vary from 2 to 4 months up to a year, depending on when you apply and how quickly the process is moving along. So there's not definitive answer that it's going to take 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. It really depends at the time of the year and how many applicants were looking to hire in the next intake. But you're free to apply anytime you want.
And is there a specific time frame? One of you is asking, like the time frame that it takes from the start of application till the end.
So we post twice a year these constable positions, one in January and one in July. Once your application is selected to move forward, after that, as I said, it can take anywhere at least between 3 to 5 or sometimes 3 to 6 months for the whole process to be completed before you, if you're successful or not successful, for all the stages to be completed of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Pasna. Ben, from a viewer, any advice with your experience in your careers for someone applying, or ways to stand out to recruiters to, quote, get a foot in the door?
The best way to stand out when you're making your application is to ensure that it's completed to the best of your ability. Policing is all about having all the answers that are going to be asked prepared for when they are asked. Imagine like you're going to court and you have a case file in front of you. You want to ensure that any question that's asked by the judge, you have those answers ready to be laid out for court proceedings. And it's the same idea for the application process. You want to ensure that when you hand in that application, you have filled out every single piece of information onto your application, whereas I can pick it up and read it and not have any questions that are already asked to ask again. We get a lot of people saying, I'll answer this upon request. Now, I just want to make sure that everyone understands the request is the paper itself asking you for that information. So please ensure that it is completed to the best of your ability. If you don't know names or phone numbers or who was your manager or supervisor at that point in time, find out. The application does take a lot to complete. The reason being is we need that to continue on in the process. Any hiccups or any things that are left out or omitted then cause more work down the road, which that could be the decision between your application moving forward or if it is then held or does not move forward at all. So I would ensure that when you're making that final application, you're putting in all of your information, you want to make sure it is done to the best of your ability. Now, of course, when it comes to the actual interviews, being prepared, speaking to other people, talking to officers, people who've gone through the process. And the big thing is we're hiring people. And I really want to emphasize that we're hiring people. And I want you to come up, talk to us. If you see us at the shuttle run, when we have our interviews, I know it's very difficult because it's an interview setting where you may feel a bit nervous, a little bit uneasy, but know that we're there for you. We want to hire everybody we can, but we have a strict process that we have to follow. And in the end, that's a determining factor if you move forward or if you don't. So show us who you are. In the end, policing isn't about just handing a person a provincial offense notice. It's about building rapport and understanding for the people that you're working with and the people you're dealing with at that point in time. In the end, we want to know who you are because I want to be able to imagine, can I see them in uniform down the road? Could I see them helping me in my time of need? So please feel free to speak to us, especially when we're doing the interviews. We do provide time for us to have conversations. Show us a bit of your personality of who you are. Of course, in the most professional way possible. But the big thing is throughout life, being prepared is the #1 way to be successful. Thank you very much. I turn you back over to Sergeant Jardine.
Thank you, Ben. And I encourage all viewers to send a couple more questions. We'll answer another 2 or 3 before we finish this session. Just to let everyone know, we will be hosting more of these in the fall. So I encourage everyone to keep an eye on our social media pages through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Question for you, Constable Sharma. It has to do with education. And this question is from Greta Del Bello. Is it more beneficial to attend university first, then apply, or go to college and apply afterwards?
Thank you, Serge, and thank you for your question, Greta. What we like to suggest that any post-secondary education is an asset, and I also like to say, when we're talking about the volunteer, the education should not be a checkbox and like your volunteer work. You should be looking from the perspective that whatever courses, either in university or college, you're going to take, are they going to benefit you from any angle? Are you going to learn from them? If it is just a checkbox, then you have to ask that question, why and what's the purpose of that? There is no right and wrong that you have to do university or college, as long as there is any post-secondary. It makes you a competitive applicant throughout the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Pazna. And we have some viewers asking questions regarding civilian positions with our organization or a special constable. That also is, or it is part of a civilian hiring. I encourage all viewers wanting an exciting career with the Waterloo Regional Police Service on the civilian side. We are one big team. I encourage you to visit the Waterloo Regional Police Service webpage, careers portion. Jobs there would be posted. However, you can always contact anyone at Human Resources with the Waterloo Police Service, and we'll be more than glad to direct you to the right people or find the answer to the question. So, Ben, does applying to multiple services at the same time affect your chances of getting into WRPS?
No, so if the answer is no, it does not. Waterloo Regional Police Service will never ask you to withdraw your application with our services unless we give you a condition of offer of hire. So if you decide to apply to a whole plethora, a large amount of services, that is, of course, your decision. Now, I would advise you to kind of hear these words and take them to heart. This process of hiring is very long. It's very intense. And you need a lot of preparation in order to come in for the interviews. Knowing that an essential competency interview, so that is your third interview in the process, that's roughly 3 hours in duration, sometimes even longer. In the end, that's very stressful on you. It's time away from work, and it's a lot of preparation. You need to make that decision on how many services you want to apply to at one time, knowing that you may be called in for interviews at different services all within the same week. Now, my question to you is, will you be able to give us your best self? Will you be able to provide all the information required and have the knowledge for the police department that you're applying to? In the end, I'm not here to give you a number. You must make that decision on your own. I've had applicants tell me they've applied to every police service in Ontario. I've had some people say I've applied to one. And in the end, when it comes to us as Waterloo Regional Police Service, we're looking to hire you for who you are. But of course, it's a competition. We want you to give us, again, like I had said before, your best self. So the number in which you wish to apply to is completely up to you, knowing that it will not affect you here for your hiring process. And of course, I wish you the best of luck and wish that you would apply here with us. Thank you very much. I turn you back over to Sergeant Jardim.
Thank you, Ben. And this session is definitely going quick. One final question, and this is for Constable Sharma. How many officers are we hiring at the service?
Thank you for the question. So we're constantly hiring. We hire 3 intakes a year: the winter intake, spring intake, and fall intake. It really depends on what the service requirement is. But I will encourage you, if you're looking for Waterloo Regional Police Service or looking at our service to apply, you can put your application at any time. We are hiring throughout the year, all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pazna. And I encourage everyone that wants to be part of this exciting journey to apply and reach out to us at uniformrecruiting@wrps.on.ca for any questions you may have. To close this off, Ben And Upasna, what's one piece of advice that you can provide an applicant? Ben?
I would say the best piece of advice is kind of what I've already said before, is just knowing who you are and being prepared. In the end, we want to hire the best people to come and work with us, to be our brothers and sisters throughout this career. And we look forward to meeting you and seeing you, knowing that it is going to be a long event, a stressful event. Just know that we're there for you as well when it comes to any questions or concerns. We'll always have an open door here to help anybody. On behalf of Waterloo Regional Police Service, I thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to everybody applying and seeing in uniform one day soon. Thank you very much. I turn you back over to Sergeant Jardim.
Thank you, Ben. And Upasna?
Yes, thanks, Sarge. So chiming on saying what my partner, Constable Michael, said, coming prepared, knowing, what you are signing up for, or what your desire is to become a police officer, and what it is going to take. So one of the things that we see that when we get applications from applicants, that it's missing information, or in interviews they're not prepared enough. You're doing that homework and also believing in yourself. Everyone has some special talent, some special skill that you have to show to us. We don't know. So in the interview process, throughout the process, it's your time to shine, but you can't do that without doing that homework and without prepping before and without putting that 150% for the job that you dream or your passion is. It's basically, there's a common saying, there's anything you desire or you dream of in your life, you have to put extra work or hard work in order to achieve that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll close it off with many thank yous to you from our viewers and myself. I want to thank Staff Sergeant Klingenberg and Staff Sergeant, Sergeant Linda Chamberlain, for coming to this virtual session, being part of it. Lots of great feedback and great information. I'd like to close it off with a comment here from Brianna Kindon. It says, Constable Sharma, I am so happy to see you here. I remember you from my high school. You were the school resource officer. I always loved seeing you, as you are a women police officer who brought so many smiles to our school community. Thank you for continuing to inspire me. So Constable Sharma, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware our commitment to our schools and our youth continues exactly the same, even more day per day. We're committed to everyone, and especially our youth, which they are our future. So everyone, thank you very much. I encourage everyone to contact us at the recruiting branch at Waterloo Regional Police Service. Please visit and follow us at Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you, and see you next time.
Bye, everybody.